Mm-hmm. My notes right here.
Access Radio, WIAX, the future of radio and podcast. No limit to what we do.
Jamel, celebrity vocal coach right here, and I am a part of Give It Life.
And ratchet, and real extra ratchet, raunchy.
That'll be everywhere, like.
Those shops upstairs, but we out here by we leave that up to Vito.
Phoenix, soul, clarity and connection through conversation. Phoenix, soul, clarity and connection through conversation.
That's a vibe. She wanna vibe. That's a vibe. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a vibe. And that's a vibe.
How's everybody doing? Happy day to those who celebrate. I guess it's happy Halloween. This is Yaz Hurston. You're listening to Phoenix Soul, clarity and connection with conversation. Both clarity and connection with conversation. Clarity and connection through conversation. I have to say it 3 times all the time because that's what it's about. But you listen to us on iAccess Radio, the future of radio and podcast. No limit to what we do. If you want to call us, you can call us at 929-560-9646. Again, feel free to call us 929-560-9646. I'm joined today with brother DJ D Spence. What's going on,
What's
D?
going on, guys? What's going on?
Okay. Little so I don't know what you got. Right. No, all good. So, part of the show today, we're going to do a number of things. It's a feel-good show. Meaning we have people on the show that's going to be talking about things that they've done collectively for the soul and for their body, as well as what they give out in their everyday job or in their community. So we're really excited to hear about that. But before we begin, I want to do a special tribute, commemoration to a person who was significant into the lives of many people in the Baptist community, specifically Abyssinia Baptist church community. And big shout out to the family of Reverend Dr. Calvin Butts, as well as the shout out to the Abyssinia Baptist Church. Just a little bit about him, because some of us think we know him a little bit. just something to learn a little bit more about him. Reverend Calvin Otis Butts was born July 19th, 1949 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And he was an American academic administrator and senior pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church. Went to school, got his bachelor's at Morehouse College, where he joined Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. After that, returning to New York, he earned from the Union Theological Seminary a Master's of Divinity in Church History, and from Drew University, a Doctor of Ministry in Church and Public Policy. Butts joined Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem as a youth minister in 1972, and for decades its senior pastor. And he also, and I remember this, he also delivered a weekly sermon by radio on a local station. I'm really aging myself, on 98.7 Kiss FM. Beloved, right? Beloved. And during the late 80s, he was also known to help mobilize and endorse the Harlem Week of Prayer around the religious community to support programs for AIDS patients and their families. And I mean, just so many things. Butts founded the Abyssinian Development Corporation in 1989. And this is where this corporation is an arm of the church that undertook community products, including the first high school constructed in Harlem, Thurgood Marshall, in half a century, as well as several of the first national retail chain stores in the area. I know we all remember Pac Mart, 125th Street on the east side. That was Abyssinian. And he went on to own over 1,100 rental units, which was leased almost exclusively for low-income residents. Other people may know him as the president of the State University of Old Westbury. He was the president from 1999 to 2020. He received honorary degrees from a number of colleges, including the City College of New York, Claflin College, Dillard University, Hartwick College, Muhlenberg College, Trinity College, Fordham University, and Tuskegee University. We lost our dearly Dr. Butts on October 28th. He was the age of 73. And so those are all the things that I wanted to share about him. But you know, Dr. Butts touched everybody. He knew his community. He knew people in his community. If you did not go to Abyssinian Baptist Church, that did not mean you did not know Dr. Butts. He was aware of what was going on in everybody's life. I mean, unless, you know, my personal story of Dr. Butts, I met him when I was in NAACP a long, long time ago, right? But then I was able to show my worth when I first ran for city council in 2005, and Dr. Butts endorsed me. And so that endorsement meant the world to me, because I just stated to you, brothers and sisters, all the work that he's done in his life, and for him to take a chance and see that I was worthy of his endorsement, I'm forever grateful to that. And I did not want to just put that on Facebook or anything. I wanted to do a verbal testimony for him because he means the world to not only his church, he's to the community, and I'm sure to the world. And so I attribute this to you, Dr. Butts. Well lived, your legacy, your king in our community. And we only wish to continue to strive in your footsteps. This is Yaz HURSTON. We'll be right back with our first guest, Phoenix Soul. DJ D Spence is going to take us out.
We rock. Surf. Yeah. So we surf. 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 surf, surf, surfing. These niggas gon' ride the wave. Your eyes are just like a tape.
I know that.
These niggas gon'
But I know
ride
that too,
the
though.
wave.
I'm not that
My
old.
body gon' fill up a
It's
safe.
a fun.
These niggas gon' ride the wave. These niggas gon' copy for days. These niggas gon' ride the wave. They tryna find out where I stay. I had it locked with a lad to see who break in. It just was a test. Virgil was sending me just to see if I like it or rocking with it. There go little mama, I don't wanna fuck her, she burning, she tripping. I'm waving, goddamn. Niggas won't smoke with this like we can meet in the kitchen. I'm burning the ham. These so-called gangsters don't know how to approach the man. I chop up his ass, I chop up his friends, his mamas, and all of his kids. I come with the lid, I chop out the top of the beans on knowledge and spins. They came with the shred. I told them to chop up your beans, you keep in your hand. I had a drum with a can, it's fully loaded, nigga playing this bitch. Catch me down bad, you know I'm predicting your wife, I'm not spending shit.
Yeah, rise and shine, I come around. Ay, yeah, peace of mind I finally found. Ay, yeah, where's that? Oh, where's that? Ay, where's that? Oh, where's that? Ay, I say rise and shine, I come around. Ay, yeah, peace of mind I finally found. Ay, yeah, where's that? Oh, where's that? Ay, yeah, where's that? Oh, where's that? Ay, look, 40 acre my reparation. Yeah. Taxing extra that's for my paces. Yeah. Hey, I'm like, where's that? Oh, where's that? Hey, yeah. Where's that? Oh, where's that? Hey, look, what they speaking facts ain't catch no flag. Hey.
DJ D Spence. I feel like DJ D Spence. That's the name.
That's the name.
Tell us a little bit about you. Like what's that about?
So I had a lot of names when I first started DJing. Initially, I would be called DJ Got That. Got That was the actual drug dealer in my neighborhood. He had everything. So it's just a testament to say that I know every genre out there. I even play world music from different countries around the world. I have a podcast called Global Rhythms. Another story. But yeah, I just named myself. I want to be unique, different from everybody else. So I'm transparent.
Well, I hear that. And so we have a very exciting show. And what you doing?
I'm waiting.
I'm trying to like prepare for it. I think I want to share that there is we have different folks in our life, and we have different folks in our life, and the different people that come in our life. There's a lot happening right now, so I just want to say we're good though. We're good. So we have a lot of people in our lives that come and go, and I'm very happy to know certain folks that will always give me good energy and always have good vibes. And ever since I met this young lady,
Are we still young ladies?
are we still young ladies?
We are.
We are.
We are.
It is. We are still young. But ever since I met her, we were young ladies, and it just seems like that energy has always been continued, a very uplifting and inspiring energy. Hey Zoe, hey Zoe Prince, I see you listening. I see you. Thank you for listening. But cutting to the chase, DIONNE GRAYMAN, D, harnesses the power of collective healing. If you don't mind, I'm going to put my glass. I have 4 glasses here.
Listen.
Yeah. Harnesses the power of collective healing to facilitate paradigm shifts. As co-founder of We Run Brownsville, a grassroots effort to support Black and brown women in re-imaging their lives as generators of wellness and joy through the sport of running, she promotes activism as an authentic way to engage people in exploring and expanding new ways of being and doing. DIONNE believes that the key to transforming power and relational structures is through heart-centered dialogue, which I really believe that. Heart-centered dialogue, storytelling, and community building. You know, I also know you as more than that. I also know you as an educator. And that's how I met you, as an educator. Yeah. And I think you've been able to tell that into the next level of being now the director of strategic planning, moving on into that. Woo-hoo. So all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, DIONNE GRAYMAN. Hey, what? So thank you so much. That's a good one. Wasn't that?
That's a good time.
I thought that would bring back the Poconos.
We're going to leave it right there. All right.
That brought back the Poconos. Young GRAYMAN and I grew up together as NAACP youth leaders.
The first young adult chapter.
The first young adult
in New York City. We got to say that.
The first young adult chapter in New York City. So D, it's been a minute. D, you also a mother too. So let me first let you give your shout outs to the seeds.
To the seeds. Sean, who is in Charlotte, Silas, who is home, and Sonia, who is a freshman on the campus of Howard University. I was just at homecoming.
Oh,
but I hope
is that what we doing? Is that what we use them to go to the homecoming?
Can I tell you, it was a different experience going as a parent instead of being there.
Is that right?
As a ratchet person, it was different. I was there as a ratchet parent, but to be there as a parent was completely different than being there like in my 20s and just shaking my sedity self.
Right.
You know.
So what was happening is, what's the difference as a parent?
I think
we have some Howard grads in the house.
Y'all are so different. Y'all are so different. I think as a parent of a daughter of a young Black woman, seeing her in this environment of Black excellence and seeing all those beautiful young people just walking around being like there was a level of appreciation that I didn't have when I was 20 something, right? And I just thought about she's in a space that is designed to cultivate her genius. That's it. She just gets to be. She ain't got a code switch. She ain't got to defend, define. She just do nothing. She just gets to be. And I just watch like
environment.
All these young people,
all playing even playing fields.
Just get to be.
That's right.
And I think as a parent, the appreciation, the gratitude for that allows me to sleep at night as I'm thinking about like that she's not with me, right? Like I keep her safe, but knowing that she's safe in the ways I would want her to be safe, I think just was an unexpected, is an unexpected gift and blessing.
That is. Okay, well, that's good to know. So tell us a little bit about We Run Brownsville. I mean, where did the concept of that come from? You were an educator for quite some time,
and still am. Because I think you're talking about Calvin Butts, and so my organization is working now in District 5 in all 24 schools. No, my day job.
Oh,
the day people, right? The people that make Howard possible.
Right, I understand that.
And so we're working in all 24 schools to help reimagine reimagine the Harlem Renaissance, right? And that calls on and draws on the cultivation of Black genius because it's a whole thing, right?
So before we get to We Run Brownsville, and tell us about what that is and what's that organization called and what does that mean as far as your role in making that happen? Because I'm very intrigued in reimagining the Harlem Renaissance.
Right? Like the Morningside Center for Teaching Responsibility. They've been around since the 80s. I've been with them. I always remember that I've been with them for a while. I always forget the number. The pandemic, just math, just everything is off. And so we work with schools to implement restorative practices so young Black and brown people are not pushed out of school through suspension and expulsion. We've expanded our work to include racial equity because we have to have like a keen understanding of the hows and the whys. Young people get pushed into suspension and expulsion in the first place. And how District 5, and I'm quoting Dr. Sandy Johnson, who used to head the EDC at Abyssinian, that Harlem has been in need for over 70 years. Like the harm that's happened has been generational. And so using the Harlem Renaissance as a framework, right, for coming into a 21st century vision of what educational success needs to look like for Black and brown young people who live in Harlem, which also includes healing, not just for them, not just for their families and caregivers, but for the larger community.
Okay.
And so I'm be leaning heavily on you for that, but
I guess you had to put that on.
I did. I was gonna put that out. I did.
Well,
so
I'm here for that.
Yeah. So it looks like not just in the school, in the system, but out in the community, in the bodegas, in the lobbies.
That's a trying feat. Shout out to Sandy Johnson, Sheena Wright, Thurgood Marshall, Abyssinia, but also Sean Davenport.
Dr. Davenport.
So Dr. Davenport now is the superintendent of District 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was, I remember, vice principal back in the day of Thurgood Marshall. So now he is superintendent. That's awesome.
He was coronated. I was there. It was a whole thing.
Is that right?
That's what I said.
I didn't get an invite, but that's good. That's all right. That's all right. So when we talk about now education, we got to be talking about something more than just books, right? We got to be talking about some holistic stuff, right? What does that look like now?
Because we are holistic, right? We're not just our mind, right? Or not just what we do in school. It's not just academic, because I show up with my whole self, right? And so it's how are you supporting me physically? How are you supporting me mentally? How are you allowing my spirit to soar, right? Mm-hmm. What are you doing to prepare me to imagine and dream, right? And so like those things have to happen, because I think there's this misconception that young Black and brown people don't dream, right? Or their dreams are limited, or like they're not out here wanting the same things for themselves that their white peers want. It might look different, but like fundamentally, people want to be good, right? They want to experience joy. They want to be in good relationships, right? They want to be able to access opportunities and live into their potential. Watch this segue. And like, that's what we're doing in Brownsville through We Run Brownsville. It's the same, right? It's exactly the same. So Brownsville, in Brooklyn, right?
Shout out to Brooklyn.
Shout out to Brooklyn, to the Republic.
She got her passport. So.
Has a lot of the same challenges as Harlem, always has. And Brownsville is always 1 and 2 in this city next to the South Bronx with the worst outcomes.
Sure.
Right? And health is one of them, and health disparities. If we were to believe the narratives that we're told, we are the reason, we are the cause, and we are the blame for the health disparities. Right? And so my co-founder and I, best friend, Sheila Gordon, shout out to Sheila. Thought that we wanted to disrupt that narrative, and that running was a way to do that. She's always been a runner. I am fairly new to the sport of running. And it's really not about the runnings. We always say running is the last thing that we do, but we gather women together at a field and track, at a track and field. And we run that track. While we're running that track, we're having conversation.
Okay.
Right? So it's not just like we're out running. It's like we're talking, like what's going on with your child in school, right? I had one of our younger runners talk about being having to navigate through a domestic violence relationship, right? Like she was being abused, and we ran that day 2 miles. We used that 2 miles to come up with a plan that would allow her to safely extract herself from that situation.
Wow.
Right? We talk about nutrition, we talk about fashion, we talk about politics, you name it, it's all coming out on the track. And everything that happened during the day, we get to leave on the track.
That's interesting because, first of all, acknowledging that you first have a track, right? In certain neighborhoods, they don't see as landscaping as a big deal. In all neighborhoods, did you have to search for space, or was it intentional of where you decided to do your running?
So Betsy Head track and field has been there as part of like FDR, like New Deal. So it's been there since forever. Like my father ran on Betsy Head track. DJ Spence knows DJ D Spence knows Betsy Head track, right? When we got there in 2015, the track had potholes in it. Like we would have to look down to see where the potholes were, and there were like weeds coming up through the holes in the concrete. As a runner, you need to look up, right? Because it helps with your breathing. But we had to look down, right? And we ran on that track for a whole year, and then was like, so this is stupid.
What are
right?
we doing? Right.
The expectation that we have to do one more thing, because we always have to do one more thing to make it work. We can make do. We know we are a people who make it do, right, and make it work. But it was like, actually no, so we're not going to do that. We knew that the city had earmarked funds to rehab the track. And we were fortunate to have, as one of our fans, former New York City Parks Commissioner Mitch Silver, aka Commissioner Fun, who followed us on social and wanted to come run with us. He came out by himself, no staff, to the park, and we later learned, he told us he was embarrassed at the condition of the park. When I tell you that park was shut down and construction started, but it also involved community planning. What did the community want to see in the park? And we were part of those convenings. We now have like a state of the art.
Beautiful.
It is stunning. So there's a rock climbing wall. Of course, there are basketball courts because it's Brooklyn. There is workout equipment. There's new seating, new lighting. The turf is amazing. There's basketball, football, and baseball happening. And I think that, back to reimagining, that young people, like in us, like we can reimagine ourselves differently because we have what we need to do what we need to do. We don't have to use our energy to make it do. We could use our energy to get these laps in, right? So that's what we've been doing.
Oh, that's a lot.
It
That's
is.
a lot. That's a lot.
It
So
is.
like you're doing the physical, and then you're doing the mental and emotional.
The mental and emotional. And this year, the financial, right? Because we're holistic.
Okay.
And we know that, right, as women, as mothers, as parents, right? If the money ain't right, we not feeling right. So we've added financial wellness to, we have 4 pillars of health, and financial health is one of them. So we'll be working with some folk in finance to help us think about our money differently.
Yeah, well, that's good. You got to always build. Always got to build. One of the things that I read and I understand about you is that you're a lover of the golden era of hip hop.
Come through 90s.
Come through.
Can we talk about it though?
90s.
Today's Boom Bap Mondays on Twitch. So today's Boom Bap Monday. So I've been boom bapping all day.
So top 3 songs. 1.
Anything by Black Moon.
Okay.
Because they're from outside of Brooklyn.
Right.
You got that right.
I'm just
Wu-Tang.
Just asking.
Wu-Tang.
So we're doing groups, not your top songs.
I could do. My top songs. Okay.
Top 3 songs.
So I'm gonna do. Warning by Biggie.
Okay.
Right. I'm gonna do Cream by Wu-Tang. I'm gonna bring in "Crush on You" by Lil' Kim because it's Lil' Kim, and where would we be without Lil' Kim?
Where would we be?
Where would we be without Lil' Kim? Where would we be without Lil' Kim?
You got a lot of stories. You got a lot of stories. I'm really trying to be professional here, but we got a lot of stories here, a lot of stories to share. But I just bring that in to show that there's another side, and then you being a mom, and you being an educator, and you being an administrator, like how do you find time for yourself, and do you have time for being DIONNE?
I do, because rest is important. So I was up at the Schomburg a couple of weeks ago with Trisha HURSTON, the NAP ministry.
Oh yeah, you told me.
And her book Rest is Resistance.
Please elaborate on that. What is it called again?
Rest is Resistance.
The NAP ministry.
Or Cross Social, the NAP ministry.
Okay, so
get you some.
Elaborate on what that is.
So she believes in rest as a form of resistance, and as a practice of liberation. Thinking she told this story of our ancestors who were enslaved on plantations. They put in 20-hour days, right? The gentry realized that they weren't getting the most out of their investment because people were dying, because you can't work a body 20 hours a day. So they reduced it to 16 hours a day. And she said, even without rest, though, the way that we were able to be subversive and create and imagine, right, and build, right, on 16-hour work days.
16 hours.
Imagine what we could do if we reverse that and rested. So I received that coming out of the quarantine, where like the first 3 weeks I slept 11 hours every day, didn't even know I could. And then and really leaning into rest, because when I'm rested, my mind is better. I can think, I can ideate, I can dream, I can vision, I can be me. I can act on the things that I want to do. I can act on how I want to show up in the world, the legacy I want to leave for my children, my grandchildren, right? But like I need to rest and disconnect from systems that don't mean me any good.
Do we have a problem disconnecting?
Well, of course we do, because we're conditioned to always be.
Well,
right?
what does that mean when we're conditioned, and how does that impact us today?
So from those 16-hour days, right, on the plantations, no matter where we were, right, we received messages that if we didn't work, we were lazy, right? We were shiftless, we were no count and no good, and we weren't productive, right? And capitalism and patriarchy and white supremacy, those three evils, right, and help to inform how we think and how we be and how we do. And so that if we're not producing, right, then we don't have worth.
So we can't take a nap. We can't take a nap.
Because then we lazy. So we can't take a nap, right? So we need to break that lie. Because we do our best work
when we get some rest.
When we get some rest. When we sleep. Facts. When we eat right.
Facts.
When we touch and love. Yeah. When we dance, right? Like when we just sit down. Just sat down.
Chill.
Just chilling.
Right.
Right? And then producing for ourselves. Being on purpose for ourselves.
So I think that was, where's that from again? So people can look that up. Because that was fire.
The NAP Ministry.
NAP. Okay.
Across socials. She is now a New York Times Ministry. The NAP Ministry, New York Times bestseller. Y'all better support.
Okay, so that means it's okay to go to sleep.
Take a nap.
Take a nap.
Unplug.
I think that's worthy. I was out last week. I wasn't feeling too well, and when you're just running, sometimes universe, God tells you to just sit down. And if you don't do it, He violently does it. And so I literally was sick. I was home. I had to unplug, and when I finally got enough rest that was needed, then I was able to continue. But I think there's a lot of folks that believe in working, 5 jobs,
hustling,
doing all these different things.
I'll sleep when I'm dead. You won't.
Right.
You'll just be dead.
Right. And as a person of you who has to do that, and you said you find your time to rest, that's the most priority thing for Dee?
That is right now with my daughter in college. Was there for a week, making sure that she was good. She has anxiety, because they all have anxiety. She has anxiety, wanted to make sure she was good. Came back with COVID. And talk about sit your behind down, right? And then, so lay down for a week. And then the second week, I was like, you know what? And laid back down. And then was working through shame and guilt, because I felt like I needed to be doing something. I couldn't just lay down. And one of my friends, Felicia, said, girl, you've been running for 35 years. Lay down, because my oldest would be 35. Lay down. Wow. I know. Wow. I know. Wow. I know. I know. 35?
Wow. You don't even, you look 35. You got 35
years old.
Get out of here.
Come through, melanin and rest.
And
good genes. Shout out to my Nana.
Shout out. So COVID for you. I know you had it, but when we all was dealing with the shutdown, the pandemic, some thought it was a reset. You raised that you slept for quite
11 hours
every day
for 3 weeks.
And so, how was that time period though for you after the 3 weeks of 11 hours?
The pandemic was awful and horrible and tragic, and people died unnecessarily because of the administration that was in power at the time. So I want to say that.
Okay.
I got to spend extended time with my children, the 2 who are home, because they'll be leaving, hopefully soon, maybe, right?
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Right. But they're right. But I'm a
okay.
facilitator in their lives. Now I'm not hands-on mommying right now, right? Sure. But I got to spend time with them just to know who they are as people.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciated that time.
Mm-hmm.
I got time to spend with my nephews, with my sister, my mom. Like we were together, right? I got time to connect with friends because everybody was home. And really got time to think about what do I want to do in this next chapter of my life. And then one of the things that we did through our organization is knowing that people were going to be home with themselves and their stuff. We did some fundraising, tapped on the shoulders of some amazing Black women who were therapists. And we started ensuring that the women that ran with us and extended to the larger community had access to therapy, right? Because Jesus and Allah and Buddha and therapy, right? Like, yes, take it to the Lord and also call your therapist, right? And so really proud of that we had that, and looking to expand that, and really want to be out here just ringing the bell around Black folk. It's all right for us to have therapy. It's okay.
The real SMJG said, "Good evening, ladies."
Good evening.
Good evening. We really value our listening audience, so when they make comments and things like that, we want to make sure they're acknowledged. I think this is awesome, Dionne. I'm always proud of you, and always that sister that is always doing stuff and always trying to continue to do better. And I'm just so impressed with that. Is there anything you want to share? Any thoughts or any questions or any comments or?
Yeah, we going to you. So we going to you.
Okay, let's do it.
I have always been in awe of how you show up in the world.
Oh,
always.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
And even though, like, chronologically,
True.
right? But I've always looked to your leadership as an example of how I want to be as a leader.
Thank you.
No, honestly, for real. And have always treasured our sistership.
Absolutely.
And I really enjoy being a reflection, like, of who you are.
Absolutely. I definitely look at you when I see you. I see me through you. I definitely do that. You're awesome.
You're awesome.
And I'm just so proud. I'm so proud. So how do we get in contact with, if we want to get involved with We Run Brownsville?
So it was We Run Brownsville across all social.
Thank you. Say it 3 times.
We Run Brownsville across all social.
Okay.
We have the very amazing, very audaciously bold and awesome Nia Gordon, who is managing our social media for us. She also happens to be my goddaughter. So
Shout out to Nia.
Shout out to Nia Nicole.
Thank you, Nia. Repost this.
She will. And I do better with Twitter because I like words. I know.
Hilarious.
I know. I do. I love Black Twitter be on. When Black Twitter is on, Black Twitter is on. Or Black Twitter is on. But We Run Brownsville across all socials. We're actually getting ready to get into giving season. So if y'all got a few dollars, few extra coins to drop in our bucket next week, check us out on social.
Go on the website.
We appreciate it. Yes, go to the website, werunbrownsville.org, or again, We Run Brownsville across all socials.
All right,
if you in Brownsville, come out and run with us.
Yo, if you in Brownsville, and you don't just have to be in Brownsville.
You don't.
However, this is a really great thing. Have you spoken to other organizations? So we're partnering.
We're partnering with Black Men Run. Shout out to Black Men Run.
Okay.
We shout out Boogie Down Bronx Runners. There's the name of the Harlem Run group is escaping me, and that's horrible.
The what?
There's a Harlem Run group.
Girl Trek?
No, not Girl Trek. Commissioner Silver used to run with them, and his trainer was April, and I can't think of the name right now. And I'm so sorry. Black and running in New York City is a thing. We all start out by walking. So, like, don't be intimidated. We're not out here running marathons. Okay, Black Men Run. They running marathons on Sunday. Some of the Black Girl Run crew, but We Run Brownsville. We just take it easy. We're not. Yeah, it's a cute run.
Wasn't you doing double dutch at some point?
No, that wasn't. There's a Jazzy Jumpers in Brownsville. No,
I
North
love
Arlington.
Jazzy Jumpers.
We saw them yesterday. There was a bike event in New York, and they were out yesterday. And I was like, we really need to be back outside with these ropes.
No, I love Jazzy Jumpers. There's also another group, but we'll probably bring them on to the show. Shout out to Jazzy G, who just shouted us out. I see you, Hired Gun of Hip Hop. D. GRAYMAN, we want to thank you so much for coming on this show. I think that we are looking forward to other opportunities and great news from you. Please give Sheila my round of applause. My round of applause, my love. Sorry she couldn't be here. She's probably getting ready to do another marathon or something.
It's marathon week. Yep.
It is. That's right. It's one on Sunday.
Yep.
What is that?
It's Sunday and it's marathon
What
week.
is it though?
Oh,
like,
it's what the number?
Yeah, like what is this? Is it like the New York Marathon?
It's the New York Marathon. It's the big one. It's the big dance. This is one everybody comes to.
Like,
I ain't gonna see her until like December.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to Sheila.
Shout out to Sheila. Dionne GRAYMAN, everybody. We runs Brownsville. Thank you so much. DJ Vince, take us out. We'll be right back. Phoenix Soul. Yes, HURSTON.
Thank you.
Big nights. We be getting down representing. So this is how it goes. Let me let you know how it be in the G-H-E. Double D-O. My name Ho. Let me run it down the line. Hey, we got a mistake. Who's the best? Who's the worst in this here rap game? For those that claim to be the best, I tear them out the flame. I'm representing, putting queens on the map. Double strings with some baggy jeans when I rap. Come up with a style that they converse to that. But treat me like no name, I've been in this game for a while. I seen a lot to come, I seen a lot to go, I seen a lot to break, I seen a lot to blow. Yo, it's a trip, see a nigga slip. Get up, nigga, get up. You don't even know the half of my rules. You be talking when you talking, and you act like you do. So shit, cause my line hit the board and don't be damn started dancing. So that I can have the order. I'm the president to get you.
Now in my younger days when I used to sport a set, I would go to school, carry lunch in a bag with the album for my teacher cause I knew I'd get a kiss. Always got mad when the class was dismissed, but when it was a session, I always had a question. I would write my entry, make a stack up to my desk, and help me with my problem floor. It was never much, just a trick to smell a sin or sneak a touch. Oh, how I wish I could hold her hand and give her a hug. She was married to the man, he was a thug, his name was Lee, he drove his he picked her up roughly at 3 o'clock. But I was on the job, yes indeed, he wrote graffiti on the bus. I carved the name the writer blood with my name live on the little fly. I seen it yesterday, but still I had to let her pass. She was passing me by. 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 Now when I dream of fairy tales, I think of me and Shelly. Cause she's my type of hype and I can stand when brothers tell me that I should quit chasing and look for something better. But the smile that she shows makes me a go-getter. I haven't gone as far as asking if I could get with her. I just play love by ear and hope she gets the picture. I'm shooting for her heart, got my finger on the trigger. She can be my Freud and I can be her nigga, but
Phoenix Soul. Clarity and connection through conversation. Phoenix Soul. Clarity and connection through conversation.
This is the last take for the night.
Gotta bring that in. Bring that right. That's my girl too. Now I want to see. I love that song, but I want to bring that in. Like once I bring in when I bring you in right, I want to bring you in right. But before I do that, I just want to say first, thank you, big shout out to DJ D Spence. Shout out. I'm Yaz HURSTON. You're tuning in to Phoenix Soul podcast, clarity and connection through conversation. If you're tuning in, you're listening to us at iAccess Radio. You can call us at 929-560-9646. 929-560-9646. Very important show today. Very, very pleased with our last guest, right?
Oh, yeah.
We talked a lot about educating and reimagining, and then even dealing with the fact of understanding folks' way of life by reaching them through, I would say, through physical, through exercise. But we have another creative with us today. And I think I want to say this is like, I'm really honing into people that I know, but I'm just so honored to know some really cool folks.
Oh,
Just some really cool folks. Hey, Mel.
vice versa.
I know, Mel. I hope you saw Dionne, but thanks for listening, Mel. You got a lot of BFFs that call in to say what's going on. So I'm going to be doing that throughout the time we're talking. Okay, so okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little about you before I introduce you. AARIAN, as a creative, AARIAN centers her work as a practicing psychotherapist in New York City at Resilience Lab. In her practice, AARIAN co-creates safe spaces for individuals seeking mental health support. And a quote from you, which I really loved when I read it, was, "As a psychotherapist, I approach my work using an anti-oppressive social justice lens, which enables us to come to a deeper understanding of how our environment impacts us as individuals, families, and communities."
Take your time.
I feel like Fred Sanford. By example, we may explore anything from the trickle-down effect of workplace stress and family conflict to the negative impact of personal trauma to mainstream media violence on children and families. But AARIAN's poetry, comedy, and creative work draw on her experiences as African American growing up and in New York after losing her mother, an Olympic track and field athlete, to a tragic car accident. Her maternal grandmother raised her from the age of 1 year old, while her father was active and a positive influence in her life. Many of her uncles suffer from the effects of drug and alcohol addiction, and that is something she witnessed as well. Many of us have that issue, especially during our time of our generation, right?
Absolutely.
But I want to talk a little bit about the AARIAN Punter that I remember. It's formerly known to many as AARIAN Pope.
Yes. And that's one thing.
Isn't that something?
I mean, when you said that the other day,
wasn't that?
I was like, you really, that's the first time that someone actually acknowledged.
Yeah.
They remember me when I was AARIAN Pope. And I tell my husband, I said, I had a life before.
You had a life before.
Okay.
Malcolm.
I was all out here. Okay.
So so I just want to say I'm extremely proud. This is the part. We said, okay, we know you're a psychotherapist, but you're a comedian.
Yeah.
And so as a comedian, you have been doing some incredible things. And I'm really, really impressed as you currently produce and host the comedy show Stand Up and Work It Out. So before we continue, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, AARIAN Punter.
Oh, thank you.
This is the last take for the night. Understand, gotta get home to my son.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. And also as a soror, member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I knew you before I even knew all of this. And
absolutely.
so I want to just say that it's good to keep connections and relationships flowing. And as we continue to grow and be who we are, AARIAN, you have become something else, haven't you?
Oh my God.
And you're a comedian.
Yeah, did you?
And when did this happen? And why? And when
you enter
all
into
that stuff.
Well, it depends when you enter into my life. Some people are in shock.
Right.
They can't believe it because I've never said anything funny a day in their life.
You pretty are funny.
I have a serious, demeanor with some people.
True.
Especially when I was at Howard. I mean, I was like on that campus telling people to be black.
Right.
Wasn't no time for no jokes.
Right.
But I come in the tradition of Dick Gregory. Growing up.
Sure.
I thought my father and my aunts and uncles knew Dick Gregory personally because they talked about Dick Gregory all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I always understood that comedy and politics made sense, especially when I heard stories growing up my family, we all of us watch Like It Is.
Absolutely, Gil Noble.
And there was a particular interview that Gil Noble did with Red Fox. Red Fox talked about his relationship, his friendship with Malcolm X. And he talked about when they were young and they were washing dishes, Malcolm had just joined the nation. And he couldn't get anybody to listen to him. So he said, yeah, no one's listening to me. So Red Fox said, well, you got to make them laugh. Mm-hmm. So Malcolm at the time said, okay. And so that's why when you hear Malcolm and you hear his cadence, he's actually invoking humor into it. And the sister said earlier, our life is whole. We receive information, but we were able to smile, and we were able to sing and dance, even in our challenges. So why not humor, right? So I think it's a part of resistance as well. So I think part of Malcolm's resistance is to make sure that people knew he was serious, but also say, look, we can experience some joy even in receiving the information. So I think all of that kind of encompasses who I am.
Sure.
But it didn't come out until the 90s, right? I was a poet. You met me as a poet. I met you at the YMCA. I'll never forget the day because it was at the YMCA. I still have the flyer, actually.
Oh, my goodness.
Me and Raz Baraka, who's my classmate at Howard.
Shout out to the Newark mayor.
That's right. It's my buddy. He was a poet. I was a poet. And we were invited. I don't even know when this was. It had to be either 1990. I don't know, 89.
I don't remember those years.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Right.
We were invited to read poetry at the YMCA, and you were sitting in the front. And he read and I read, and I just remember meeting you. And you were so kind, and you remained that way all these years. I mean, every time I see you, you always just have the same spirit, And so, as a poet, I found my voice. I was exposed to his dad, Amiri Baraka, Imam Amiri Baraka, the Barakas, and spent a lot of time with them in Newark. I think we laughed about how he ran for mayor for 20 years before he became mayor. Right. But I was around that kind of understanding, that Howard training, and then just being a poet and not really finding humor. I mean, my family was, at funerals we laugh, right? Someone says something dumb up at the podium and we like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
Right.
So humor has always been, I think, a part of my family, but being raised by my grandmother, you really didn't do that. You really, don't, sit down somewhere. You know what I mean? Nobody want to hear all that, right? Even the poetry she had a hard time with, just kind of expressing myself because she didn't like all that, But my uncles and all that, like when she was in the back,
there's always jokes.
They did all they had.
Right.
That's what they did.
Especially
so
that's
right. So
did you have the uncle that would always come to the event and have to get kicked out?
Yeah, my Uncle Jackie.
Oh yeah, I had an Uncle Johnny. Well, no, not my cousin right now. No, Uncle Harry. Uncle Harry, that was that one.
Jackie, yeah. Jackie was a Muslim, right? Jackie was the one who showed the family, who would, on our way out, my grandmother would we all had to go to church on Sunday. But my uncle, because when my mother died, my uncles were young in the house, right? So they were always there, and I was just this child running around. But we would go to church. But on the way out the door, my uncle would say, don't be listening to the white man, you know what I mean? He was, don't be eating no crackers, that's the white man's flesh, My grandma would say, be quiet, And so he was the one in the family who always made sure that we understood who we were as a people, right? Always made sure, don't eat that pork, things like that, taught us how to pray. Even though my grandmother said, she wasn't with none of that.
Right.
But I think that was like a healthy balance.
Of course it was, of course.
Because I had aunts who, wore big afros and was in the Black Power movement and challenging, the Christian church. I just grew up, in that era. That's the 70s and 80s.
No, that was it.
I mean, I think I'll just encompass that. And I just really decided in the 90s, I met, how I got into comedy is that in the 90s, I used to intern at Uptown Records when I came home from Howard. So I was an intern. I was on the music industry and all that stuff. And
Andre Harrell?
Andre Harrell, right? It's Andre Harrell. And James Jenkins, who's my cousin, invited me. He asked me if I want to do an internship, and I said yes. And the reason why I said yes is because at Howard, we did at the time, we did a hip hop conference, one of the first hip hop conferences we did in the country. So I really got open.
You're talking mad history right now.
Yeah, like I was a moderator on that conference. We had Sister Soldier. We had all these people there. And we were just students, right? And all these people I went to school with went into the music industry. So it's almost like when we left Howard, everyone somehow, either if you went to law school or you went to business school or you did something, everybody kind of wound up in the industry for some strange reason. So it was like this graduate school, but all these people from Howard, Hampton, and Spelman, all right, in these record labels. So it was like we were all having fun anyway. Yeah. So
my good friend Ed Woods,
Ed Woods, exactly. Yeah. So how we all knew how Hampton people was through.
You went to the
Ed Woods because he went to school in Matt Milton.
Right, exactly.
So it was like Matt and
oh my
at
God.
a party.
We going in, right? We going in.
So it was like all of us spread out, and it was just one big party. And I was. Do you know Andrina Hale?
No.
Well, she had her own publishing company, and I worked with her. We didn't know what we were doing, and so I was tired of being an intern, and she invited me to be a part of this business. She was a video producer, and I just happened to be going around because I thought I knew what I was doing, and I really didn't. I'm 22.
It's all right to say that now. It's
22,
okay.
Didn't know what I was doing, but I thought I was important. So I was going around the clubs asking people if they needed publicists. And that's when I met Donnell Rawlins. It was Tracy Morgan and Donnell Rawlins at the Flamingo Club all the way downtown. Remember that?
Oh my gosh.
And they were, Tracy Morgan was a mess. He was from Brooklyn. He was a mess. He let everybody know he was from Brooklyn. He was drunk. And it was Donnell Rawlins. And I decided to give my card to Donnell.
Ashy?
He wasn't Ashy Larry back then.
Right.
He didn't become Ashy Larry until way later on the Chappelle.
Right.
But this was like 92, 93. And I asked him, did he have a publicist? He said no. And I gave him my card. He called me. We became friends. And I got him on Screen Scene. Remember Screen Scene?
Oh, my goodness.
I wrote his bio. I was the first one to write his bio. And I got him on Screen Scene. And he took on. We remained friends from there.
Sure.
And he said, he used to come to my poetry meetings. Because back then, poets and comics hung out together.
Exactly.
That's why Chappelle is such good friends with Mos Def and all these people. Because we all were together. You know that. And so he thought I had good timing. He was like, we have great timing. Why don't you, my poetry is not like that downtrodden poetry. I have some humor in my stuff. So he said, you're really good. Why don't you come with us? I'm doing a improv show, an improv group, and want to be a part of it. So, okay, I had no idea what comedy's about. All I knew what comedy was Dick Gregory. I really did, and Red Fox. I didn't know. And I learned how to do improv, and I learned how to do stand-up. But I was a poet with timing. I didn't do straight stand-up.
What does that mean, poet with timing?
Well, when I read my poem, I don't read, I just do it, off the cuff. But when I recite my poetry, it's really a dialogue. I do it in monologue. So
I feel like I need to ask you, do you have something to recite?
I mean, I can.
I feel like we need to do that.
Okay.
So when do we need to get prepared for something?
No.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, there's this card game. This is called Afro Luncheonette. There's this card game going on at the Afro Luncheonette. You don't know about the Afro on Lenox Avenue? All kind of things happen up in there. And no, not just because it's uptown either. It's because in Harlem, there's a different way of listening to music. There's even a special way to play in spades. And at this card game at the Afro, you may get up and dance a while to a Marvin Gaye serenade or a whisper underneath your soul clap. That this place really got it going on. Everybody knows what the Afro's all about. It's about fried chicken served with dignity, cuss words set in class, private reasons to live and nothing to lose. And if you sit still long enough bearing the smell of Miss Della's cigar, you may hear a story about Malcolm from the people who knew him for real. There's a place where laughter gives birth to the night, as well as tears that can clean your soul and wash away memories of deferred dreams. Now you come on, hurry before you miss something. You check this place for yourself. You witness the Afro live in a forever position, aligning itself between rent parties and $5 dinners. Why? Because once you enter, you'll never know what hit you. That's Afro Luncheonette. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I wrote that in 1990, on my way to Minnesink.
Wow.
Yep. I came home from school. I told my grandmother I needed a job.
Big shout out to Minnesink.
Yes. I told my grandmother I needed a job when I came home from Howard, and she said, well, take that 7 bus. Because I grew up on 110th Street between Ampton and Cathedral Towers. She said, take that 7 bus down there on the corner and take it. She couldn't tell me which street. She just said, and take it, and you're going to see Minnesink and get off.
Mission, yeah, 143rd.
And I saw menacing, and I got off. And while I was in the bus, there was a place, a real place. It's called the Afro. You remember the Afro Luncheon? Yeah, because I was like, that's your mother, but your mother would know that.
Yeah, I kind of remember.
It's called the Afro Luncheon. And I said, my God, does anybody see this? It was like I had seen, the Taj Mahal. I couldn't believe it was a place called the Afro Luncheonette.
Right.
I said, this is amazing. So I went in menacing. I asked for a job.
Right.
I got the job. Whatever, after
right.
program. And I wrote this poem on the bus because I was inspired by the Color Museum at the time by George Wolfe. Mm-hmm. And so I said, wow, what's going on in that place? And I went in there because Amiri Baraka's wife, Amina Baraka, told me, always ask for permission, especially if you write about something. Just ask, is it okay? It's okay. So I went in there, and a guy named Fritz.
Of course.
He was sitting at the counter.
You remember all of this?
Yep. And I said, excuse me, sir, could you mind if I put your name in the poem? He looked up at me. He said, okay. He was like, if you don't get out of here, who's this child asking me questions? And I put him in the poem. The first person to hear that piece was a 7-year-old girl in the after-school program. I said, you want to hear something? I want a poem. And she goes, okay. And I read it to her. I said, you like that? She said, yes. That's why I knew. I said, this is good. So that was my first poem that I wrote.
Well, along with being a poet, stand up and work it out. Mm-hmm. What's that about?
So stand up and work it out came out of, I guess, during the pandemic because, there was a lot going on, to say the least. And everybody was changing and doing things and slow down. Mm-hmm. And because I always loved comedy, I wanted to do something special. And, my husband, I was really restless and I was doing my work, but I wanted to do more artistically because I'd done a lot of stuff in my 20s. When I had my daughter, I slowed all the way down, went back to school, did all the educational stuff. But I really wanted to express myself. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to do it differently. I didn't want to be a poet. I felt like comedy, and my comedy friends have always said to me, why don't you get up there and do it? What? And I said, no, because I have respect for comics.
What's the trepidation about?
It's a different brain. Mm-hmm. It's a different brain. Poetry, I can hide behind my poetry. I can hide behind those words. But comedy, although spoken word, it's a different brain. It's a different rhythm. Mm-hmm. It's just a different rhythm. And I admired the comics that I knew. And I said, no, that's your lane. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to make a fool out of myself. Mm-hmm. I just know my poetry. Mm-hmm. And honestly, what happened? This is what happened. Malcolm saw a class. He said, the Carolines.
Malcolm, your husband.
My husband, Malcolm said.
Yeah. Not
They're
X.
doing a class. Not Malcolm X, sorry.
Right. We've been talking about Malcolm all.
That's why I married Malcolm first of all.
Is that right?
I told him, I said, the reason why, I said, when he told me his name.
Oh, that was
his name wasn't, he said his middle name was Ali. I said, oh, okay. That might be interesting. Uh-huh. Okay. That's what I noticed before anything else. His name was powerful. And so he bought me a class. Caroline's Comedy Club had a comedy class. I said, he really did it as a challenge. He's like, you think you're so funny. Oh. Why don't you take a class? I said, I think I will. And I took that class and learned how to break down a joke. Got up there and the ladies were like, you're funny. Oh my God, why'd you do it? I was like, you know what? I built a confidence level. Because as an academic, you want to do it right.
Right.
So I said, let me just do it academically first. And I did. And I did a show at Caroline's, a newcomer show. Mm-hmm. And then I started going to a New York Comedy Club to open mics.
Okay.
And then I started just going up.
Well, I started seeing you promote yourself, saying, look, I'm just going to try this. And I was so impressed. I was just so happy for you.
Thank you.
Did it,
I mean, that's how I fused it, though.
Yeah.
I said, what am I doing? Stand and work it out. I'm working it out. It's cathartic for me.
I mean, and then you got all the other comedians to join in with you. Mm-hmm. Gave you some street cred and everything.
Some street cred. Comedy assassins, though. I mean, let me tell you, other comics are rough. Poets can be rough, but comics are really rough. I mean, I know people, a lot of comics for a long time, yes, but let me tell you something. They will tell me if it's not funny. or they'll be like, yeah, you know, oh, that's funny. You're okay, that's funny.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm still working at it.
So what's your comedy based on? Is it based on
life? Just life. I don't like vulgar. I don't like the vulgar comics and stuff like that. I really don't. I don't really talk about like sex or anything like that. I talk about my daughter. I talk about Malcolm. Like I talk about we went out and Malcolm come back and forth to the bathroom and he got confused because the damn sign was a half dress and a half pants and he didn't want to be disrespectful. I'm like, what are you doing?
And I know Malcolm.
What's wrong with you?
What else did he do?
See? That's what I'm saying. Like regular stuff.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna get up there and talk about it. So I just talk about regular stuff, and I'm still developing, some acts. Like I'm still developing some stuff. So.
Okay. And so this is a way of not only expressing yourself, but to just feel good.
Absolutely.
So everybody can come there and just enjoy. Is there another show about that?
Yeah. So we had Freddie Ricks.
Okay.
Last month. And we're gonna have now. My brother, Smokey Suarez, is a potty mouth, but he's a good guy.
Okay.
And it shows my range as a producer because I didn't know. I love Smokey Suarez. He's a sweetheart. But people say, "Oh, Smokey Suarez!" They get so excited. So you know what? And he said yes. So we're gonna have him next Wednesday. It's once a month.
Oh.
November 9th, Wednesday, November 9th, and then we're
next
gonna have
Wednesday.
Mike Gregory on in December, who's Dick Gregory's nephew.
Okay.
In December at the Cove Lounge.
So you got to give us the website or whatever, and we'll share that.
www.standupandworkitout.com.
Oh, www. We got to put that on the screen.
www.standupandworkitout.com. It's on Instagram.
Standupandworkitout.com.
On Instagram.
Okay.
Facebook, Stand Up and Work It Out. And it's like laughter is the best medicine. It's humor, laughter, and mental health. So I really believe that laughter and humor is a form of self-care that we must experience joy.
So psychotherapist.
Yes.
What is that? Like, I mean, you can't.
I can flip it.
Yeah, let's flip that. Let's flip that because I mean,
absolutely.
You've had to see some things before you can laugh about them.
I am really a psychotherapist. I'm really in private practice. I really do see people individually. It's through telehealth in a private practice setting. Psychotherapy is it's a form of therapy. It's a one-on-one form of therapy, just working with people around their anxieties, their fears, and trauma. I'm trauma-based. I was educated at Silverman School of Social Work, and so it's really about working with people. Choose you in my practice. So people go to psychology today or Zen Care, and they'll see my profile. And I'm very honest. I have a lens. I have a social justice. Anti-oppressive social justice lens. So in my practice, if I encounter someone who is experiencing self-hate, we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the microcosm of self-hate.
This is the serious side of you that I know.
But I make them laugh too now.
Okay.
Let me tell you, I instill humor in our conversation because I don't want anyone to ever get so cracked open because we're on telehealth too. I make sure, because I have training, I know how to crack people open and also know how to bring them back so that when we complete, that they're whole. By me smiling at them, by me telling them to take a deep breath, by them telling you're going to be okay and we're going to get through it and I'm going to walk with you through it. So I do that for free. I've been doing that for years. My family were armchair psychiatrists anyway. They were all telling people what to do. So I'll do that for free. I have friends I've been talking to for years, and they still can't get it together.
But in your realm of doing this, have you seen some major breakthroughs with your work that you've done?
I have. I've had women come to me who really just wanted to experience their relationships different. Maybe they were angry. Maybe they felt like I had one where. Because I can't say too much, but I did have a woman come to me whose daughter sent her to therapy and said, "You're mean to us. You don't talk to us." She's a lawyer, a prominent woman, and she said, "I need to learn how to talk better to my kids." And I'm gonna tell you, she was a white woman, and I said, "Why me?" I'm a black woman. Why me? And she says, I saw your profile. And she said, you know what? I think I can work with you. I think I like your vibe. And I said, okay, fine. And I worked with her to identify some things that she was angry about, helped her name her disappointment, her guilt, her shame around certain things in her life. And once you're able to name things in a safe place, once you're able to hear yourself say, oh, wow, I didn't realize that was, and you're willing to do the work, because you have to be willing to do the work. I mean, if I got in places where I said, do you want to change?
Do we really want to do this? Right.
I mean, really, do you want to change? You keep fighting me. You know what I mean? You come and fighting me. But if you really want to change and you're open, I think people do change. And she did. We got to a point we terminated because she was ready to try try speaking to her daughter a certain way, and it actually worked. So I do get people who come to therapy and they do experience breakthroughs. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's pretty great. I mean, I wonder why you brought up the race thing. Like, what do you find that more patients are more comfortable with their own race, psychotherapists, or if you're good, right?
Yes, and I have people who say, I'm coming to you because I really want to talk to a black woman, because there's certain things that I want to say that I won't have to explain.
I understand.
If I break down my family, I don't need you to do this right now. Tell me that. What happened now? What? Auntie? I thought that was your mother's. No, that's my
that's
mother.
What we call auntie.
Right. So they want to be able to say all that and get past that so that they can have the discussion, not explain themselves, or not be judged, or say, well, I don't understand.
First 15 minutes explaining who to and everything like that.
And
go back. Oh, no, that's not who I'm referring to.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And you find that psychotherapy, is that a way that you, I don't know, I mean, how are you able to remove yourself or not bring you with that energy, or not have that energy back on you? How are you able to separate that?
To be honest with you, training.
I would imagine that it's a lot, especially all the different things you're talking about and people you're working with.
It's really about understanding human behavior. First, you have to be interested in human behavior.
That's fact.
You have to be really interested, and also have to understand, the trauma and people's behavior is not personal, but that you can support someone in their personal moments. But this training, we do a lot of training before that. I don't suggest people just get in rooms and, talk to people and things like that. Because you see that on television, people, they're really there for, they crack people open. But you really can't work with people, I believe. I mean, that's the conservative part of me. I think there's a certain amount of training that you should have in a professional setting to really get people to open up, because you are responsible for, what happens when they do get open, and you want to really make sure that there's consistency there, there's continuity in their care. That's why termination is really important in therapy. Like,
gotta have closure.
This
You're not doing this
put me out of business.
Right.
I say, listen, put me out of business. I want you to heal.
929-560-9646. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Phoenix Soul. I'm Yaz Hurston, and we're talking to AARIAN Punter. And so, AARIAN, this is a time of now where there's a lot of self-care, a lot of discovery or journeys. You seem to be in your job is probably needed more than ever. Do you find yourself really, really busy?
I am. I work during the day, and one thing I like what I do is I set my own hours. So self-care is very important. I'm in a place in my life where I don't have to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. I can take my first person at 10 or 9:30 if I want, and I can end at 3:30, 4:30. I take off every Wednesday. I have Wednesdays off every Wednesday. I did that with intention. So I'm 2 days on, 1 off. 2 days on, 2 off. Saturday, Sunday. I don't work on the weekend.
4-day work weeks.
Yeah.
Best thing.
Yes, and I make sure I rest.
Certainly supportive
I just sent my friend Nap Ministries. I sent it to her. She's gonna be like, "What? We have to talk."
Right.
Definitely. I am like I share with everything you said about our ancestors and sleep. It is not the enemy. And all too often, even in my practice, I have to dismantle the notion of taking time. That is, the word lazy comes up a lot. What does that mean? That lazy word is steeped in racism and white supremacy. Why are you using that word to say that about yourself? See? Preach it to the choir with that. I said, somebody understands. No, that word, no.
Right. So I want to thank you so much, Ariane, for jumping on. Is there any final thoughts or any comments that you want to say or anything we want to miss to come out and support? Is there?
Yep. Listen, come out support. I mean, I love comedy. There's so many people who do. I'm doing it at Cove Lounge, 325 Malcolm X Boulevard.
Shout out to Aaliyah. Yeah.
Black woman who owns Cove.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is my company, Stand Up and Work It Out. Also have a nonprofit, Rucker Park Prep. We can come back to Rucker Park Prep later. That's the summertime. I want to talk about my comedy now.
Okay.
Cove Lounge. Once www.standupandworkitout.com.
Right.
Come out. It's limited seating. It's a very boutique.
And what is this like? Is it just you hosting and bringing the comedians on?
I'm hosting. I do a set.
So.
And then I bring on some comedians. I'm looking for some women comedians. If anybody hit me up, if you're a woman comedian listening and you have material, please let me know. I'm at Stand Up and Work It Out at gmail.com.
Stand Up and Work It Out at gmail.com. Yeah. You can let us know if you have any, and that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. You're giving platforms. It's like, this is what we do. We providing platforms for people who may not be able to go everywhere. Yeah. So this is awesome. Clarity and connection.
Yes, absolutely.
Through conversation.
Thank you so much.
So Ariane Punter, thank you so much for coming on Phoenix Soul.
I
mean,
thank you for thinking about me like this. This is my first time.
Yeah.
Really being interviewed about myself. You know, this is the first time, so I appreciate it.
You're
really,
natural.
it's a blessing.
You're natural. You're good at that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, this is for me a vision board for greater things.
I think so, and we're gonna have you back.
Thank you.
All right, DJ Smith, thanks a lot.
This is the last take for the night.
Thank you.
Understand that's kind of late.
Right.
And I gotta get home to my son. He's so special to me. I mean, I gotta see him. I need to breathe him. That's my baby. Don't call me crazy. I love the studio, but I love him more. Let me give you what I got. So I woke up in the morning feeling fresh to death.
Yeah, that's a vibe. She wanna vibe. That's a vibe. Yeah, that's a vibe. It's a vibe.
DJ D Spence, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're more than welcome.
Man of so few words, right?
I know I got a lot to say, but it's at my show.
That's true. But your music was excellent. I understand that was some of your your music.
Oh yes, I have my own music. It's called Afro Lounge, Afrobeats and Lounge Music Fusion. Doesn't really exist yet, but I'm working on making that a popular thing in your local coffee shop and hotel lobby eventually.
And popular to iAccess Radio, the future of radio and podcasts. You listen to Yaz Hurston, Phoenix Soul, and as always, iAccess family, we love you. Thanks for listening and supporting us. Big Al's in the house. And thank you, the listening audience, for taking the time out and spending it with me. We replay again always at 10:30. So if you didn't catch the whole show, you can watch us again at 10:30. Phoenix Soul, and we're out. Peace out.
Phoenix Soul. Clarity and connection through conversation. Phoenix Soul. Clarity and connection through conversation.
Who else you gonna have?